and he still hasn't made it to Mars. Why does he do it? Because he's committed to the mission, and it's messy, and it's ugly, and we don't always get things right. But I was speaking with Steve, with our board, several months ago, and we realized that as a company, as we're navigating this new vision, and we're continuing to evolve without forgetting who we are, it gets too messy. And we realized we were missing a key component in our management team, which is typically called a chief operations officer. Because a chief operations officer is all about understanding where we are going, what our vision is, and then enabling how we get there. And what I love about our next speaker, I have worked side by side with this guy for 13 years. He has been in the trenches, literally saving this business in China, in the US, dealing with regulators who are completely impossible and irrational to save this business. What you don't know is he and I have been partners side by side as we've looked at this new vision, this new strategy. He's been the litmus check. He's the guy when I'm chasing after and saying, we can totally do this. He asked me the question, how? How are we going to do it? And I'm like, no, we can do this. We're going to go. He's like, yeah, no, I get it. I'm in with you. How are we going to get there? How do we take 1 step, 2 step, 3 step, 4 step? How do we minimize the friction, the change, the disruption, make it work better? So this is our new COO, and I want you guys to give him the biggest rock star welcome that he has ever had, because I think this is his first welcome that he will have speaking on main stage. Ladies and gentlemen, Chayce Clark.
Let me start by thanking each of you. I felt your kindness and support as I've stepped into this new role, and I cannot tell you how much that support means to me. I'm incredibly grateful to play even just a small part on your new skin journey. So on behalf of me, my lovely wife Natalie, and our entire family, I really just want to say thank you. I also want to address something simple, but I think it's important. We have not gotten everything right. At times, we have made this business harder than it should be for you to build. And I know that hasn't just impacted performance, it's impacted your confidence. And whether we say it out loud or not, there has been a gap between what we believe is possible, but what you've consistently experienced. So closing that gap is not just the company's responsibility, that is my responsibility. As Chief Operating Officer, my job is simple. Align resources, remove friction, and build systems where you can win consistently. And we're doing that deliberately and aggressively. We've already made some critical changes to some broken elements in compensation, in attribution, and to the systems that were kind of holding you back. I've tried to stop stacking so many changes at the same time so we can develop a consistent, more reliable cadence for you and your business. So we're fixing what wasn't working and restoring what you have earned. But that's not a promise, that's already done. But there is so much more to do, and I will not stop until you grow. There's one more thing I want to address, and this is kind of a sensitive topic, but I want you to hear it directly from me. I've heard from so many of you about CV, and I know that's a real issue and it needs to be solved. So my belief is this: the path forward runs through higher margin products. If we can build back product margin discipline, we can rebuild incentives. So that may mean fewer promotions, it may mean some discontinuations or price increases, but I am committed, personally committed, to using that recovered margin to restore CV. And I'm not asking you to trust a plan on paper. I'm asking you to hold me accountable to it. So that's the deal I'm making with you today. But we're not going to close the confidence gap through CV and plans. We're going to close it through leadership, through your leadership. And the good news is I believe we have all the leadership we need in our team elites. Our vision is to be the world's #1 leadership company. So as Ryan mentioned, notice that change. Not in product, not in technology, but in leadership. And we will not achieve that vision through corporate strategy alone. We will achieve it through you, through your ability to lead, to sponsor, to build organizations that scale, because in the end, we don't become the world's best by what we create. We become the world's best by who we create. And this is personal for me. I've tied my entire career in what I hoped would be a very promising future to you. And I didn't do that casually. I believe in this because I've seen it work. I've seen what this business does for people. And when you see it up close and the way it changes people's lives in ways that I didn't even think were possible, it changes you. And it personally changed me. Even a seemingly small thing at Nu Skin changed my life's trajectory. When I started with the company many years ago, I came for an interview for an entry-level legal role. And I'll be honest, I almost left. I'd been sitting down in the lobby of our beautiful atrium for over an hour. They were way late, and I remember thinking, oh my gosh, this MLM and Provo is not for me. I need to go. So I stood up to walk out. And at that moment, a man stopped me and said, you look familiar. Do I know you? We talked briefly, and he asked why I was there. And I said, oh, I'm here for an interview, but I'm leaving. They're running really late. So he put his hand on my arm and said, hey, this is a special place. We help people become the best versions of themselves. And if you give us a chance, and if you won't be the cynical legal guy, it will do the same for you. Give us a little grace. We're not perfect, but I promise what you'll gain here will matter more than what you're worried about right now. So I sat back down, I took the interview, and I got the job. And that man was Nathan Ricks. So Nathan's no longer with us, but I think about that moment often. Because what he did was not complicated. He saw someone, he engaged, he acted, and he had no idea what that moment would become. But that's what great leaders do. And that's what sponsorship really is. It's not some secret process. It's a moment where you see someone and you decide to act. I'll be honest, when I first stepped into the role, there were moments where it felt really heavy. You realize very quickly that there are thousands and thousands of families that rely on the decisions we make. I remember thinking, oh my goodness, what did I get myself into? Like, I do not want to let you down. It was really a heavy moment. I was pretty low, really low. At that time, my assistant brought in the mail, and she dropped off a stack, and it was normal stuff, bills, legal invoices, letters. But in that stack, there was a handwritten note. And I opened it, and it was from our team elites named Paula and Moore Erlock. And all the note said was, thank you for believing in us. We're in this with you, and we won't let each other down. And I remember thinking, that's exactly right. Because if we do this together, if we actually show up for one another, then there's nothing that will stop what we're capable of building. That's what this is. This is not a company in a field. It's not us versus them, but it is people building something important together. And everything that you've built to get here matters. The customers you've served, the teams you've grown, the volume you've created, that's not something I dismiss. But that is not the destination. It is the foundation. Because you are not legacy leaders just representing the past of the business, but collectively you are the foundation, and all of us are the future of it. You are the architects of our next growth cycle. And the next growth cycle can't just be built by a few. It must be built by many. Because architects think differently. They design what scales. They build people who build volume. They create environments where success can be repeated again and again and again. Because what got us here may not be the thing that takes us where we're going. And the future of this business will not be built by initiatives or thought partnership, but it will be built by effort that leads to multiplication. And the next phase requires a different level of leadership, not just to grow, but to design growth that lasts. So that's the shift. And there's a reality that every architect understands. Nothing scalable is built alone. So if you're building alone, you're not building a business, you're holding a position. And your business will not grow of holding a position or even just selling alone. It will grow because of sponsoring and activating other people. And where we fall short is not belief, but in consistency of sponsorship. We cannot confuse stability from compression with success, because that won't build the future. Only your active leadership will. And if you and your people aren't sponsoring, that's where our opportunity is, because that is the work we need right now. So we probably need to rethink what sponsorship really is. It can't just be adding people. It has to be expanding possibility, because every person you sponsor is a life you intersect, a future that changes trajectory. Every great organization is just a collection of people that nobody gave up on. So think about that one person in your organization, that person who almost didn't join, who needed a little bit more encouragement. So you decided to reach out and act and help them anyway. You believed in them before they believed in themselves. Now think about how they're different and think about who they're impacting. That's what Nathan did for me. And that's what I believe sponsorship actually really is. So this is where our mission comes to life. We say we're a force for good, but that cannot be just a tagline. Force requires movement and it requires action. And we're not going to become a force for good through products alone, but we're going to become a force for good through people. So what does this look like? Right now it will look like healthier households. It will look like stronger families, more stable income, more belief inside a home, and over time, communities will look different because of you. That's real impact. So let me give you the other side. All of us have had moments where we may be too nervous. We saw someone and we knew for whatever reason that we should reach out, but we didn't, and nothing changed. And right now we can't afford that cost of waiting, because there are people, thousands of people, who don't yet have what we have. Thousands of lives who haven't changed, thousands of families still waiting, but the company doesn't sponsor. So I'll work on fixing things, but they're not waiting on the company. They're waiting on you. So let me be very clear, this moment matters. Because what we're building right now will lead and determine who runs the next phase of this business. So this isn't a season to sit out, because right now, there is someone waiting for the opportunity that you have, waiting for only the belief that you can give them, and waiting for you to say, come build this with me. So you are not only the architects of our next growth cycle, but if you step into this calling, you will be the architects of hope and purpose in the lives of so many. But architects don't wait, and you can't either. We have to build, we have to design, we have to sponsor, and we have to develop people who can build alongside us. That's how we lead, and that's how we become the company we want to be. And that's how we become a true force for good. So I'm going to tell you a story. When I was a little boy, I loved boxing. So when the Mike Tyson-Buster Douglas fight was announced in Tokyo, I was determined to watch it. So I saved up every dollar I could because my parents told me I had to pay for the pay-per-view. I washed dogs, I collected cans, I did everything I could think of, but I fell short. So I didn't get to watch it. And that was kind of the house I grew up in. You achieved it or you didn't. There was no participation trophies. So I woke up one morning early after the fight, and I ran down to the porch to get the newspaper, but my mom stopped me. So I have to be honest with you, I'm a big mama's boy. And I hesitate to share this story, because it makes me emotional, and that's not what I wanted to do in my first speech. But my mama is the reason, in many ways, that I took this job. Back in February, I was in my hometown with my mom when Brian and the board asked me if I would consider being chief operating officer. So like any good son does, I sat with my mom and said, what do you think? I said, it'll be really, really hard. And I got a family too, and I have good opportunities outside the business. Kind of help me, Mama. And she said, well, I got 2 questions for you. Do you love the people? I said, yeah, I do. Our sales leaders and our employees are really, really wonderful people. She said, do you think you can help them on their journey? I said, yeah, I think I can. There's some things we need to fix, and the leaders just need to believe and do what only they can do. And she put her hand on my face, and she said, then you should do it, because they will do it. And that was enough for me. Thank you. So anyway, back to the fight story. So my mom stops me, I'm going out to get the paper, and she tells me, I secretly recorded the fight. So I don't know how she got a bootleg copy to record, but she did. My mom's kind of a cheeky lady, which is probably why I love her so much. But she said, you can't tell your dad. Because I believe, my dad was a branch manager of a small bank in a small town. And I think my mom secretly used the surveillance VCR to record the fight. So as long as I didn't tell my dad, we were okay. So she takes me by the hand and we go into our family room. And we had one of those big old Panasonic tube TVs that sat on the floor from the 70s. She pops the tape in, turns the volume down, and it's just the two of us. So now when this fight happened, Mike Tyson was the baddest man alive. Undisputed heavyweight champion of the world. Buster Douglas was a good fighter too, but relatively unknown. And a few weeks before the fight, Buster Douglas's mother died. And he was devastated. And people asked him to back out of the fight because I think they were genuinely worried Mike Tyson might kill him. But Buster Douglas felt like he had to keep his commitment, so the fight went forward. And there's this moment in the fight where Mike Tyson lands a hard punch and knocks Buster Douglas down, and the ref starts the 10 count. And right as the 10 count's about to finish, the bell goes off, saving Buster Douglas. So the fighters retreat to their corner. And in between the rounds, you can hear the announcer say, Mike Tyson smells blood in the water. He's going to kill Buster Douglas. Sure enough, the bell rings and they come out, and Mike Tyson comes out with a fury. But there's this moment where something happens and it shifts. And you can see it on Buster Douglas's face. It's a moment where he decides to fight back. So he throws some sharp jabs and a cross, and he and Tyson kind of parry each other for a minute, and then he hits Mike Tyson hard and rocks him. And Mike Tyson falls back kind of stunned, but then regrounds, recommits, and comes back with a full fury. But Buster Douglas does not blink. He chooses to fight back. And this happens again and again and again. Each time Buster Douglas chooses, he absorbs the punishment, and every time he answers. And then, in the late rounds, I think it was the 10th round, my mom leans on the TV and turns the volume all the way down. So I come in super close. I'm probably like this far from the screen. Right as she does that, Buster Douglas slips a Tyson punch and throws an uppercut. And it wasn't in slow motion, but in my memory it was in slow motion. And as that uppercut's coming up and my nose is about to hit the screen, my mama jacks up the volume. And I swear, I can hear that uppercut smash into Mike Tyson's face as if I'm sitting there in Tokyo. And I fall back stunned. Buster Douglas had just knocked out Mike Tyson for the first time ever. I bet my eyes were as big as dinner plates, and I look up at my mom, and she smiles. And I don't remember much of what she said, but there was one thing that she said that always stayed with me. She said, "Sweetie, the most important thing of all of this is that Buster Douglas decided. He chose. He chose to fight." And so years later, I saw Buster Douglas in an interview, and he said his mom had told the world that he was going to win that fight. And no one was going to make his mama a liar, so he chose to fight. And he fought, and he fought, and he fought. And of all the teaching experiences I've had with my parents, this was a defining moment. Because my mom taught me it all starts with a choice. So doesn't matter the opportunities I've had, doesn't matter what has come, I choose New Skin. Because I choose its leadership, and I choose you. And I know, with our great employees and our great leadership, if we lock arms, we can beat any Mike Tyson that comes our way. Regulatory, commercial, AI, changing times, it does not matter. Because I know two things. Our leaders lead, and when we partner closely together, we grow. And because my mama said you will do it. And like Buster Douglas, no one, and I mean no one, is going to make my mama a liar. So now's the time. So together, let's do this. Thank you.